So what stories did your parents or grandparents tell you about life in Palestine before they left?
A lot, but that's not my answer, obviously. So, just some background. My dad was born in Palestine, in Tulkarem, so I'm from Tulkarem in the West Bank. My mum was born in Kuwait, so a lot of the stories that I have will always be about my dad and my uncles and my grandma from my dad's side. They'll never be about my mum, as bad as that sounds, because she wasn't born there. She was born and raised in Kuwait, as were all my siblings, except myself. I had the unfortunate liberty of being born in the women's in Liverpool. Peaks and roundabouts, or whatever the saying is. So stories about growing up was, for me dad anyway, for those that know him, you can tell he's a very mischievous man. Rana's seen him in his habitat, she's seen him in my house. He's very mischievous. So you can imagine, as a child, as a teenager, he used to run rings around people. So one of my favourite stories is that he left school really young. I think he left school at like 9 and he thought, education's not for me. I'm just going to start selling stuff. Very different to kids selling stuff nowadays. He used to pick up like sweet wrappers and cans and things and used to go and sell them. He used to con people sometimes. But you know what? He's just making his living, isn't he? He's a kid in Palestine. But he bought my grandma her very first gold ring just from what he was doing, and it's something that she kept very, very close to her heart, and it's been passed down to me. And that's all from my dad, with his little antics, just being a little menace, picking up cans and wrappers and stuff from the streets and just selling them on. But it's those sweet wrappers and those cans that made him who he is today. So I always say this, even though he never had that education, it should never let it define anyone, because if my dad can do it from nothing in Palestine, started the occupation as well, post-1967, if not anyone can do it, think of everything we've got now. So that's one of my favourite stories that I've heard. But as well as that, you know, he was doing knock-a-door dash and all sorts of stuff, so I really, really enjoy listening to his stories. It's my favourite thing.
What is your dad's name? I don't know. I just know him as Baba.
Everyone knows him as Baba. And I'm going to keep it as Baba, actually. I like the mystery. I'm going to keep it as Baba or
Baba
my dad.
Haneen.
Baba Haneen, yeah. Big abs.
Okay. So this is something that I struggle with as well. How do you define home when you have roots in one place, but you were born in another place?
You know what, Rana? This is a mad question, because when I'm home in Palestine, well, Jordan isn't home, but it might as well be home. I go there a lot more than I do when I go to Palestine. I'm always referred to as the English one.
Even in Palestine?
Even in Palestine.
Yeah, you get that. Yeah.
They say a phrase and they say, Ejat al-Biritaniya, which means, here comes the British girl. And I'm like, who? Me. And here I'm Haneen, the Palestinian.
Yeah.
So it's very weird that over there, I'm British. And over here, I'm Palestinian, which I feel like should be the opposite. But funny story, because I'm also a menace, like my dad. I remember once we were in Palestine, and people from a nearby camp all came to see the British girl. And they were like, where's the British girl? I swear to God, they're like, where's the British girl?
Did they want to touch you?
Well, I was just sitting there in the living room. They thought blonde, blue eyes. They thought all of that, and I'm sitting there just.
And they love that.
They love that.
They love that.
They love it. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna tell them who the British girl is. I'll wait for them to find out themselves. Took them about 20 minutes. They never found out. I started looking for her with them. Until I said, oh, the British, the one who lives in the UK, yeah, oh, that's me. You don't look British. Yeah, look at me dad, he's brown. So it's very difficult, because over there they expect me to not know Arabic. Here I'm expected to know Arabic, which I do. And it's just a lot of, well, where do I belong? I mean, I grew up, I think 6 years of my life thinking I was from Yemen. Because I grew up with the Yemeni community and I got a lot of love for them. When I first went to Jordan, I was speaking in a Yemeni accent. My family was so confused. They were like, Haneen's mum, I'm not going to say her name, Mama, did you move to the UK or did you move to Yemen? What's going on? So I was sitting there hitting them up with Yemeni phrases because that's who I grew up with. But until they told me, no, you're Palestinian, you're not from Yemen. But I always say I'm an adopted Yemeni as well as a scouse and a Palestinian. And
sorry, I didn't add that to your intro.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
So when somebody,
Don't tell Haifa.
I won't tell Haifa. So when somebody asks you, because I struggle with this, when somebody